Get away from him!" Jack's scream tore through the morning silence of the farm. The black stallion reared up on his hind legs, his hooves slicing through the air dangerously close to the new trainer's head. The horse's eyes blazed with wild fear and rage. 17-year-old Emma watched from behind the fence. She didn't look away, even when other farm workers scattered. Her fingers automatically touched the metal bars in a familiar rhythm. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. "Thunder's loose!" someone shouted. The stallion bolted toward the pen's exit. The trainer jumped back, falling into the mud. Thunder was charging straight at a group of tourists who had just arrived for a farm tour. Emma didn't think, she just moved. Climbing over the fence in one fluid motion, the girl found herself in the path of the enraged horse. Tourists screamed, pointing at her, but Emma saw what others didn't. Thunder wasn't angry, he was scared. The girl raised her hand palm forward. Her movements were slow, predictable. She didn't look the horse directly in the eyes. That was a threat. Instead, she focused on his shoulder, reading his body language. "Shh." Her voice was barely audible but steady. "It's okay, Thunder. It's okay." The stallion stopped abruptly 3 meters from her. His sides heaved with heavy breathing. Foam dripped from his bridle, but his ears turned forward. He was listening. Emma took a step back, then another. Without turning her back on Thunder, she led him in a gentle dance of trust. "Impossible," Jack whispered, getting up from the mud. "He doesn't let anyone closer than 5 meters." Thunder lowered his head. His breathing gradually evened out. Emma slowly extended her hand, allowing the horse to sniff her fingers. The scent of her skin, the scent of safety. "Who hurt you?" she whispered as the horse gently touched her palm with his nose. That's when Emma noticed it. Fresh scars on Thunder's sides. Marks from an electric shock device. Someone had tortured the horse. Rage rolled through her body, but she didn't let it show. Thunder felt everything. Instead, she placed her palm on his neck. "I know," she whispered. "I know what that's like." Then Thunder did something incredible. He lowered his massive head and gently touched the girl's shoulder with his nose. Softly, trustingly. The crowd of tourists burst into applause, but Emma didn't hear them. Only this moment existed. Her and Thunder. 2 wounded creatures who had found each other. "Emma!" Her father's voice sharply returned her to reality. Michael Richardson was racing across the yard, his face red with anger. "Get away from that horse, right now!" She didn't move. Thunder sensed the tension and became alert again, but didn't step away from the girl. "Dad, he's fine," Emma said, her voice calm despite the adrenaline. "Someone tortured him." Michael stopped, seeing the scene. His daughter stood next to the farm's most dangerous horse, and the animal was completely calm. "Emma," his voice became softer, "slowly step away." But the girl had already seen something else. In the reflection of Thunder's eyes, she noticed movement behind her father. A man in a dark jacket was hiding near the stable, watching them. When their eyes met, the stranger quickly disappeared around the corner of the building. Thunder became alert again, his ears turning toward the stable. He sensed something dangerous. And then Emma smelled it. Faint but unmistakable scent of gasoline drifting from the stable. Someone was preparing to burn down the farm. The gasoline smell hit Emma like a punch to the gut. Thunder's nostrils flared, catching the same deadly scent. His muscles tensed beneath her palm. The stallion knew fire, knew what it meant for horses trapped in wooden stalls. "Dad!" Emma spun around. "The stable! Someone's—" Crash! A window exploded outward from the main stable. Orange flames licked at the broken glass. Black smoke billowed into the Kentucky morning sky. Fire! Michael Richardson's voice boomed across the farm. Get the horses out! Chaos erupted. Workers sprinted toward the burning building. Tourists screamed and ran for their cars. But Emma's attention locked on something else entirely. Thunder wasn't running from the fire. He was staring at it with recognition. "You've seen this before," she whispered, her hand still on his neck. The stallion's entire body trembled, not with fear, but with rage. Then she saw him, the man in the dark jacket, running from the back of the stable toward a black pickup truck parked behind the equipment shed. Emma's mind clicked into hyperfocus. The same truck had been parked across the road yesterday and the day before. Someone had been watching the farm. "There," she pointed. "Dad, the guy in the—" But Michael was already racing toward the stable with a fire extinguisher, unable to hear her over the roar of flames and panicked whinnying from inside. Thunder snorted and stepped forward. His eyes tracked the fleeing arsonist with laser focus. Emma felt something shift between them, a moment of perfect understanding. Thunder wasn't just a traumatized horse. He was a witness. He'd seen this man before. "Take me to him," she whispered. The stallion moved before she could mount him. Emma grabbed his mane and swung herself onto his bare back in one fluid motion, something she'd practiced 1,000 times in her mind but never dared attempt. Thunder launched into a gallop. Wind whipped Emma's hair as they thundered across the pasture. Thunder's hooves pounded a rhythm of fury against the earth. The arsonist reached his truck and yanked open the door. But Thunder was faster. Horse and rider cut across the field at an angle, intercepting him before he could start the engine. "Stop!" Emma shouted. The man spun around. Emma's blood froze. She recognized that face from the farm's employee files. Rick Bauer, the trainer they'd fired 3 months ago for animal abuse. "You!" Rick snarled, his eyes wild. "And that devil horse!" Thunder reared slightly, positioning himself between Emma and the man. The stallion's message was clear. Not this time. "You destroyed my career!" Rick pulled something from his jacket. A cattle prod, the same weapon he'd used to torture Thunder. Thunder's entire body went rigid. Ancient terror and fresh rage warred in his dark eyes. Emma felt the stallion's panic through their connection. She leaned forward, pressing her face against his neck. "Not afraid anymore," she whispered. "We're not afraid anymore." Something extraordinary happened. Thunder's fear transformed into protective fury. He stepped forward, forcing Rick backward against the truck. "The insurance money won't save your family's farm," Rick sneered, "but it'll destroy you when they find out who really started the fire." Emma's heart stopped. Rick wasn't working alone. This was bigger than revenge. Someone wanted to frame her father for insurance fraud. Sirens wailed in the distance, fire trucks approaching. Rick smiled coldly and raised the cattle prod. But as he lunged forward, Thunder spun with lightning precision. His back hooves connected with the truck's door, slamming it shut and trapping Rick's arm. "You maniac horse!" Rick screamed, dropping the prod. That's when they saw them. 3 more black trucks speeding up the access road toward the farm. Rick's accomplices were coming to finish the job. And they were heading straight for the stable where her father was trapped fighting the fire alone. "3 trucks!" Emma screamed, pointing toward the farm. "Dad's trapped!" Thunder spun away from the pinned Rick without hesitation. The stallion understood. Their real fight was just beginning. Emma leaned low over Thunder's neck as they exploded into a dead sprint across the field. Behind them, Rick's curses faded into the roar of approaching engines. The black trucks were moving in formation, military precision. Emma's mind cataloged details automatically. 3 vehicles, 2 men per truck, coordinated approach from different angles. This wasn't random arson. This was an operation. Smoke billowed thicker from the stable as they approached. Orange flames consumed the east wing where they stored the hay. Emma could see her father's silhouette through the haze, still fighting the blaze with a garden hose. "Dad can't see them coming," she whispered into Thunder's ear. "We have to warn him." Thunder's ears flicked back, listening to her voice, then forward toward the approaching threat. The stallion's tactical instincts kicked in, something Emma had never seen before. Instead of heading straight to the stable, Thunder angled toward the equipment shed. Emma realized his plan immediately. Higher ground, better vantage point. The first truck rounded the main barn. Two men jumped out, one carrying a jerry can of gasoline, the other wielding a baseball bat. Emma's pattern recognition mind kicked into overdrive. She counted steps, calculated angles, predicted movements. The men were spreading out to surround the stable. They want to trap him inside, she realized, make it look like an accident. Thunder snorted agreement and launched himself down the hill like a guided missile. The man with the gasoline never saw them coming. Thunder slammed into him shoulder first, sending the jerry can flying. Gasoline splashed across the gravel in a toxic rainbow. The man hit the ground hard, his head bouncing off a fence post. "Mike!" the bat wielder shouted. "We've got company!" Two more trucks screeched to a halt, 5 men total. Emma's mind processed the math. Terrible odds, but Thunder had momentum and righteous fury. "Dad!" Emma screamed toward the stable. "Get out, now!" Michael Richardson's head snapped up from the flames. Through the smoke, he saw his daughter on the black stallion, surrounded by armed men. "Emma, run!" he shouted, dropping the hose. But Emma wasn't running. Thunder had taught her something in their brief partnership. Sometimes you don't flee from your fears. Sometimes you charge straight through them. The man with the bat swung at Thunder's legs. The stallion pivoted, letting Emma's boot connect with the attacker's jaw instead. The man spun and dropped. "The girl's just a kid," one of the newcomers yelled. "Grab her!" Wrong thing to say to a protective horse. Thunder erupted in controlled violence. His training as a cavalry horse, something Emma had read about in his breeding records, suddenly made terrifying sense. Then Emma heard it, the distant wail of sirens getting closer, fire trucks, police. Someone had called for backup. Cops! The remaining attackers began retreating toward their trucks. But their leader, a scarred man in military fatigues, pulled out a cell phone. "Plan B," he barked into the device. "Initiate the Richardson scandal. Release the photos." Emma's blood turned to ice. Photos? What scandal could destroy her family worse than a burned farm? "What photos?" Emma screamed at the retreating leader. The scarred man turned back with a twisted smile. Blood trickled from where Thunder's hoof had grazed his temple. "Ask your daddy about the gambling debts," he called out. "Ask him about the horses he's been selling to the slaughter trucks." Emma felt like she'd been punched in the chest. Slaughter trucks? Her father would never. But the man's confidence suggested otherwise. "Lies!" Michael Richardson's voice boomed as he ran toward them, soot-covered and furious. But the attackers were already speeding away, leaving only tire tracks and the acrid smell of burned rubber. The sirens grew louder. Help was almost here. Thunder paced restlessly beneath Emma. The stallion's instincts screamed that the danger wasn't over. If anything, it was just beginning. "Emma, get down from there!" Her father reached for Thunder's bridle, but the horse sidestepped smoothly, keeping Emma in the saddle. "Dad," Emma's voice was steady despite her racing heart. "What gambling debts?" Michael's face went ashen. Around them, fire trucks roared into the yard, followed by 3 police cruisers. But Emma only had eyes for her father's expression. He was hiding something terrible. Thunder suddenly tensed, his head snapping toward the main road. Emma followed his gaze and saw a news van pulling up. Then another. Within minutes, 3 media trucks lined the farm's entrance. "How did they get here so fast?" Emma whispered. That's when her phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. Emma's blood froze as she read the message and saw the attached photo. The photo showed her father shaking hands with a man in front of a livestock trailer, a slaughter truck. "Your family's reputation dies tonight unless you deliver the horse," the text read. "Thunder has something we need, 1 hour." Emma's mind raced. Thunder had something they needed? What could a traumatized stallion possibly have that was worth destroying her family over? Then she remembered the scars on his sides, not just from torture. Some were surgical, clean, precise cuts that had healed months ago. "They put something inside you," she whispered to Thunder. "Didn't they?" The stallion's ears flicked back at her words. In that moment, Emma understood. Thunder wasn't just a witness to crimes. He was evidence. Living, breathing evidence that someone desperately wanted back. "Emma Richardson!" A reporter's voice cut through the chaos. "Is it true your family has been selling rescue horses to slaughterhouses?" More cameras appeared, microphones thrust toward her father. The trap was closing with perfect timing. Thunder began backing away from the crowd, his protective instincts in overdrive. Emma felt his muscles coiling beneath her. He was preparing to run. "Emma!" Her father broke through the media scrum, his face desperate. "Whatever they told you, whatever you think you know, we can fix this. Just get away from that horse." But Emma was done running from truth. She leaned forward, pressing her face against Thunder's neck. "Show me," she whispered. "Show me what they're really after." Thunder's response was immediate. He wheeled around and galloped toward the back pasture, away from the cameras, away from the lies, toward whatever truth was hidden in his scarred body. Behind them, Emma heard her father scream her name, but she also heard something else, the roar of motorcycle engines starting up in the distance. The real hunt was just beginning. 6 motorcycles roared across the pasture behind them, engines screaming like mechanical wolves. Thunder's hooves pounded against the earth in perfect rhythm. Emma could feel his heart hammering beneath her, but there was no panic in the stallion's stride, only grim determination. "They're gaining!" Emma glanced back. The lead rider was less than 50 yards behind, something metallic glinting in his hand. Thunder veered toward the old quarry, a dangerous maze of rocky outcrops and hidden sinkholes. Emma's analytical mind kicked in. The motorcycles would have to slow down or risk crashing. "Smart boy," she whispered. "Buy us time to think." As they reached the quarry's edge, Thunder suddenly stopped. His head dropped low, sniffing the ground intensely. Then he began pawing at a specific spot, a patch of disturbed earth near an old oak tree. "Here?" Emma dismounted quickly. "What's here?" Thunder's surgical scars began to glow faintly under her touch. Not literally, but Emma's hypersensitive fingertips detected something, a small, hard object beneath his skin. Microchip," she breathed. "You're carrying data." The motorcycle engines grew louder. Emma's mind raced through possibilities. What kind of data was worth killing for? Then Thunder did something extraordinary. He knelt down like a circus horse, positioning himself so Emma could examine the buried spot he'd found. Emma dug frantically with her hands. 3 inches down, her fingers hit metal, a waterproof case buried months ago. Inside the case, a smartphone and a stack of photographs. Emma's blood turned to ice as she recognized the images. Politicians, judges, police chiefs, all of them shaking hands with the scarred man, money changing hands. A massive corruption network stretching from Kentucky to Washington. "You were the courier," Emma whispered to Thunder. "Someone used you to hide evidence." "Found him!" The lead motorcyclist crested the hill, weapon raised. Emma pocketed the phone and photos, but there was nowhere to run. 6 armed men spread out in a semicircle, trapping them against the quarry's edge. "Hand over the evidence, girl. This doesn't have to end badly." Thunder stepped protectively in front of Emma. The stallion's eyes locked onto something behind the men, movement in the tree line. Then Emma heard it, the thunder of many hooves. The entire farm's horse herd was charging toward them. "Impossible," one gunman muttered. "Horses don't coordinate attacks." But Emma understood. Thunder's panicked whinnying during the fire hadn't been fear. It had been a call to arms. The other horses remembered him as their former leader. 20 horses slammed into the motorcycle gang like a living avalanche. Men scattered, weapons flying. In the chaos, Emma speed-dialed 911. "FBI," she said when they answered. "I have evidence of federal corruption. Send everything." Thunder nuzzled her shoulder gently. His war was finally over. Their war was over. 6 months later, Emma sat in Thunder's stall reading news headlines on her tablet. Senator Morrison sentenced to 20 years. FBI corruption ring exposed by teen and horse. Thunder dozed peacefully beside her. But sometimes, late at night, Emma caught him staring toward the horizon with those knowing dark eyes. Because they both knew there were other secrets buried out there. Other horses carrying dangerous truths.